Good morning, I'm Amit Thakral, and let's begin with the top stories this hour. Solendra Rana unanimously endorsed through parliamentary hearing. Former Chief Justice suggests forming a high-level commission to rectify the controversial judiciary. Quality of public education declines by the day. One-third of 22,000 teachers in community schools failed the examination of Service Commission. US President Donald Trump agrees to allow about 4 months for the US military to pull its troops out of Syria. And Tottenham bounced back from the defeat to win a 3-0 win against Cardiff City as they moved back up to second in the Premier League table. Let's begin with the national political updates. Justice Solendra Rana is to lead the Supreme Court for the next 4 years as his recommendation for the post of Chief Justice has been endorsed by the Parliamentary Hearing Committee. Prior to the Parliamentary Hearing Committee's endorsement, Rana had defended himself against 9 complaints filed at the committee. Rana clarified that none of his decisions breached the legal jurisdiction. Rana also presented a work plan that prioritized the judiciary's discipline. Rana reiterated his commitment to better manage the judiciary. Rana had been accused of clearing officials in corruption charges, transferring public land into several individuals' names, forming nexus with middlemen, and taking disputed means while entering the judicial service. Rana had denied all the allegations. Rana also emphasized that it was not ethical for the administrative, executive, and the judiciary to interfere in one another's jurisdiction. Rana also consoled the committee that the court would not interfere or object in the government's decisions given they are justified. The Parliamentary Hearing Committee endorsed Rana after his commitments proved worthy. Rana will have the chance to lead the judiciary for the longest period in recent time after the president appoints him. However, Rana faces tremendous challenge to clear his own tarnished image in the 4 years of his tenure, in addition to lifting the judiciary's reputation affected by the decisions made by previous leaderships. Meanwhile, former Justice at the Supreme Court Prakash Swasti has stated that there is a need to form a high-level judicial commission to clean the tarnished image of the judiciary. Speaking at Kantipur television show, Sarokar Swasti drew the attention of the government and the parliamentarians at the need to immediately form a high-level commission to change the disputed image of the judiciary. Swasti also stated that the legal council should be formed by including former Chief Justice or justices and senior advocates, those who do not hold selfish motives. Likewise, Swasti also emphasized political commitment as a must in improving the judiciary's image and said a special proposal must be approved by the Parliament for the Council.
नेताहरूले भनुन् महसुस के गर्नु पर्यो भने वास्तवमा न्यायपालिकालाई रिफर्मको आवश्यकता छ। संकल्प प्रस्ताव के पास होस् भने एउटा उच्च स्तरीय न्यायिक छानबिन आयोग गठन गरौँ भनेर पार्लिमेन्टले पास गरोस्, क्याबिनेटमा रेफर होस्, क्याबिनेटले पनि त्यसलाई अनुमोदन गरोस्, राष्ट्रपतिकहाँ पठाओस्, क्याबिनेटले भने चाहिँ राष्ट्रपतिले गरून्।
In the Kantipur TV show, Sarokar Swasti stated that there are 29 different types of nexus of middlemen at the court and suggested the government to initiate investigations on justices, government lawyers, and court officials and their relatives. Likewise, Swasti also stated there is a need to investigate on the disputed verdicts and, if needed, take strict actions against any justices or court officials. Swasti had also served as a member of the corruption investigation teams for the Supreme Court and the Nepal Bar Association. Likewise, Swasti also worked as an advisor to the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority. The intra-party integration of the ranks and files of ruling Nepal Communist Party has been further plunged into uncertainty as the work plan for unification has yet to be formulated, despite the formation of a separate task force for the job. Nepal Communist Party had formed the task force last week following the 10-day-long standing committee meeting. The task force was formed after the party's leadership was criticized for its failure to conclude the unification and for making biased decisions in handing over responsibilities. It is almost a week now since the 9-member task force to complete the remaining works of unification was formed. However, despite holding continuous meetings since Monday, the party has failed to agree on the work plan. While the leadership faction has said responsibilities should be handed over based on the participation of leaders, the dissatisfied faction has demanded further responsibilities to be divided based on the positions of the leaders prior to the unification. This lack of consensus between the leaders has hinted at the ruling party failing to meet its plan one more time. The task force has now less than 2 weeks to conclude the unification process. The task force has the responsibility of forming a draft proposing for the division of responsibilities between the central members, district committees, sister organizations, and concluding unification at the ward level as well. However, despite time running out, the task force has expressed confidence in meeting the party's deadline. The current stalemate is a result of the race between top leaders to hand over responsibilities and power to those closest to them. The federal parliament endorsed the staff adjustment ordinance yesterday amidst disagreements and criticisms from the lawmakers of the ruling Nepal Communist Party itself. The ordinance was endorsed by the meeting of the House of Representatives as public officials were staging protests. Prior to the endorsement, the lawmakers had protested against approving the ordinance, citing it was impractical at the moment as the assembly was nearing. The lawmakers of the ruling Nepal Communist Party have been protesting against the discriminative provisions in the ordinance that favors those at the center and stops the growth of those at the local level. Meanwhile, the lawmakers of the opposition opined that the provisions in the ordinance hurt the morale of the public officials and that the results in future would not be positive. Federal Affairs Minister Lal Babu Pandit meanwhile defended the ordinance, citing it would not obstruct in the growth of the officials. Minister Pandit further stated that the ordinance was a must to solve the current staff crisis seen at the local and provincial levels. In order to address the demands of the public officials who have continued with their protest against a few of the provisions in the ordinance, the government is preparing to amend the Federal Civil Service Act. Meanwhile, despite the civil servants, authorized trade union and other associations continuing the protest against the government's staff adjustment ordinance, 17,000 public officials have already submitted the staff adjustment forms. The government had given civil servants 21 days of ultimatum to apply for the staff adjustment at the federal, provincial, and local levels. The officials needed to submit their applications online. Meanwhile, the protesting staff and the government have not been able to reach an agreement. The meeting held between the Federal Affairs Ministry and representatives of the trade union earlier yesterday had been postponed until today. The trade union has been demanding for a provision that would facilitate the officials sent to the local and provincial levels to return to the center. However, the government has been adamant on only allowing officials to return to the center if their experience and qualifications meet the requirement. The government has already prepared a draft of the Federal Civil Service Act. Welcome back after the break. One of the major duties of a teacher is to guide students to attain best marks in exams. However, 1/3 of the temporary teachers teaching at community schools across the country have failed to attain the minimum marks, failing the test themselves. This has shed light on one of the major reasons for the steady decline in the quality of education in Nepal. Despite widespread criticisms, the government had amended the Education Act and facilitated internal exams to give temporary teachers a chance to become permanent. However, despite the support from the government, 7,000 temporary teachers have failed to attain the minimum 40 marks in the exams taken by the Teachers Service Commission. 32% of the 22,076 temporary teachers have failed the Commission's exams, while 25% did not even appear for the exams. The answer sheets of the 300 others were disqualified. The Commission has stated that they are preparing to publish the results of the interview round of 15,000 of those that cleared the test within the month of January. Through the amendment of the Education Act, the government had reserved 75% of the seats for temporary teachers. The government is preparing to discontinue the services of altogether 10,000 of those who failed the test, those who had papers were disqualified, and those who did not appear for the test by providing certain facilities. The Ministry of Education is preparing to hire new teachers on contract basis to fill vacant posts. At this juncture, it is necessary for the Teachers Service Commission to advertise and call for new applicants at the earliest to avoid any possible unfortunate demands from the temporary teachers hired by the ministry in future. The subcommittee formed under the Public Accounts Committee has alleged Nepal Airlines Corporation of doing away with a financial irregularity of almost 4 billion rupees during the procurement of the two wide-body aircrafts. The subcommittee concluded of corruption amounting to almost 4 billion rupees in the report prepared after carrying out an investigation on the papers related to the purchase. The subcommittee had conducted various discussion sessions with Tourism Minister Rabindra Adhikari, Attorney General Thankamani Sharma, among others, during its investigation. The report also states that Nepal Airlines Corporation breached the Procurement Act during the purchase of the two Airbus 330. Likewise, the report has concluded that the officials of Nepal Airlines Corporation had ill intention from the very early stage of the procurement process. The subcommittee also stated that the payments were made before the agreed date and has considered it as a basis for corruption. The subcommittee is preparing to submit the final report to the Public Accounts Committee today, which includes the names of the people involved in the corruption along with the recommendations for actions against them. The corporation had purchased the two aircrafts with a loan of 12 billion rupees, each from the Citizens Investment Trust and the Employee Provident Fund. The first of the two aircrafts had landed in Nepal on 30th of June 2018. In order to promote local traditional food, Veritar has been hosting food festivals to cater to its international and domestic visitors. And in this contest, where we had asked the organizers of the food festival, how has it helped in promoting tourism in Veritar? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
मौलिक खानेकुराहरूलाई अलिकति प्रबन्धन गर्ने, प्रचार प्रसार गर्ने, आउने ग्राहकहरूलाई चखाउने र त्यसको प्रबन्धन गर्ने,
यो खानपान र यो कल्चरलाई नै हामीले फोकस गरेर आइरहेको अवस्था छ अहिलेसम्म।
आन्तरिक तथा बाह्य पर्यटनहरूलाई भित्र्याउँ र यहाँको टेस्टहरू दिउँ भन्ने चाहिँ यसको मेन उद्देश्य रहेको छ।
मिठो मसिनो दिएर पाहुनाहरूलाई चाहिँ पल्काउने, अब त्यस्तै तरिकाले चाहिँ हाम्रो एउटा फुड फेस्टिभको चाहिँ सालैपछि हाम्रो एउटा कार्ययोजनाहरू हामी गरिराखेका छौँ। हजुर,
बजारमा उत्पादन भएको, फ्याक्ट्रीमा उत्पादन भएको भन्दा पनि गाउँघरमा हाम्रै किसान दाजुभाइहरूले विभिन्न जात जातिहरूले उत्पादन गरेको जुन उत्पादनहरू हुन्, ती उत्पादनहरूलाई प्रवर्धन गर्नको लागि
पाहुनाहरू आउनु भएन भने त हाम्रो त ठ्याप्पै नै हुन्छ, हाम्रो आम्दानी नै हुँदैन।
आफूले बनाएको केही कुराहरू ल्याएर यहाँ बेचबिखन गर्ने, आफ्नो गाउँघरको भाषा संस्कृति, आफ्नो रहनसहन, आफ्नो संस्कृतिहरू देखाउन त्यसो गरिरहेछन्।
पर्यटकलाई केही नयाँ नौलो र आउने क्रम चाहिँ बढिरहोस् भन्ने किसिमले पनि हामीले एसोसिएसनले यो निरन्तरता फेस्टिभल गर्न गइरहेछौँ।
It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, what does the failing of one-third of community school teachers signify? The options are A, sorry state of public education, B, result of political appointments, and C, immediate reformations required. The voting is on. Type in WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news and entertainment. Have a good day.